Jai Hind to all. My name is Dhanshri Parihar, Assistant Professor, Department of Computer Science and Engineering, Ajay Kumar Garg Engineering College. Today, my topic is Object-Oriented Features in Java for the course Object-Oriented Programming with Java. So the contents include polymorphism concept, inheritance concept, and data abstraction concepts. Now, what is polymorphism? A polymorphism is a concept where the method name remains the same in the two classes, but the actual method called by the JVM depends upon the object at runtime and done by the dynamic binding in Java. The Java supports various object-oriented features. One of them is polymorphism. Polymorphism is the feature where we are able to attain the many forms by a single, we can say a variable, or we can say a method. That is a concept which will be supported by Java. So we are having two types of polymorphism. One is the static polymorphism and another is the dynamic polymorphism. The static polymorphism is have an example of method overloading. Now what is method overloading in Java? As we all know that creating a method inside a class is a very simple task. But when we make a method with the same name in a same class but having a different bodies and different parameter list, then a concept of method overloading will occur in Java. So how we can achieve this overloading? There are three ways of achieving this overloading, method overloading in Java. The first one is the dependency on the number of parameters we are using while we are declaring a method in a class. For example, there is a valid case of overloading, like we have a method name as add with two parameters having a data type of int and int. Again, we are having a same method name in the same class with the three parameter list int, int and int. Here, the number of parameters in the two methods are different, but the data types of those parameters are same and the name of the method is also same. So that concept is used for method overloading. Another valid case is when the data type of parameters are different. So the number of parameters are same, but the data type of that parameters are different. Here the method name is again add and again add. Here we are having two parameters with the data types integer and integer, whereas in another method add the data type is integer and float. So the number of parameters in the second method add is 2 and the number of parameters in the first method is also 2, but here the data types are totally different. And then comes the third case, the sequence of data type of a parameter. So we can also shuffle the data type of a parameter and then also we can achieve this method overloading concept. Here again we are having add and add method. The first data type of parameter one is integer and the second one is float. And for the method number 2, it will be shuffled. First one will get the float and second one will be having a integer. So these are the three possibilities by which we can achieve method overloading in Java. So let's come to an example, a programming example for this, for method overloading. For example, we are having any class A, and this class A, we are having a method named as f1 having only a single parameter x of type integer. And what is the body of this method? The body will contain the multiplication of this parameter x, and we are printing that value over here. Now, another method f1 with the same name exists in the same class A, but the parameter lists are different. Here, the first parameter is x and the second parameter is y of type integer. But the first one will containing only the one parameter and the second function f1 is containing the two parameters x and y, and their multiplication is existing in its body. So here we are overloading the function f1 is overloaded. Overloaded means we are performing multiple tasks by a single function. A single function is performing multiple tasks. As we see here in the example, the first function f1, although they are having same name, but their bodies are computed differently. The first one is performing the multiplication for only the value x, and the second one is performing the multiplication for the value x and y. So this is the concept of method overloading. Now, how we can access this method? So we will create one main method. In that main method, either you can create this main method in a same class, or you can declare another class for creating this main method in that class, and then we are creating an object of class A. So this is your class A, and how we can create an object? The class name, then the object name equals to new the class name. So class name A, the object name is A equals to new the class name, and through this A we are invoking the function f1 2 times. So when we are calling the first function with the value 5, it will refer the first function with having f1 having only one parameter, that is int x it will be referring, and that will be containing the body of x into x. So when the first call will be generated, this value 5 will be passed to this x, and then the multiplication performed, and we get 25 as the result. And when the second call is invoked by object A, here we are having two parameters, so it will go to the second function f1 having two parameters x and y. So the calling is also done in a way the functions are declared. As the second one is having two values, so it will be calling the second one function in the previous slide. This one having two parameters, and the single parameter will call the single parameter function f1, the first one function. So second function will be called with these values, and what we are performing there? We are multiplying there the value of x with y, like this. And here we are passing the value of x to be 2 and the y to be 3. So 2 into 3, we get 6 as the answer of this one. So we will get two output in this. The first one is 25 and second one is 6 as the answer to this particular program. So this is the way how we can overload a method. Now we can use any number of methods. Maybe it may be a finite number. Here we are only overloaded add function 2 times, but we can do it 5 times, 4 times, or 6 times, or 7 times also. So this is the way. And one more thing we can add on to this. Even though these functions are overloading, here we will creating them as a public. They can be a private, they can be protected, and they can be overloaded at that time also. They are not dependent upon their access specifier for overloading a function. So there is no dependency for that thing. Now next is very big example of this method overloading, an extra complex example that will be creating an addition operation. Here we are loading an add function. Okay, from here it will be started. This is the overload class, and this is the main method class where we are creating our object. That is a simple concept. Here we are overloading add how many times? 1, this is 2, and this is 3, and after this is 4 times. Yes, 4 times we are overloading the function add with different bodies. Here the add is having 2 parameters a and b. In the second one it will be having 3 parameters a, b and c. In the third one it is having 2 parameters a and b, but with different data types, double. And in third it will be having again 2 parameters but of type string. So this add function is not only used for adding the 2 operand a and b, but also used in this particular example for concatenating the string. So 2 functionality of same function. So here there is our main method class. Here we are creating an object obj of this class function overload, and we are generating a call only 2 times. One is for object.add with value 1 and 2, and object.add for 11.5 and 2.5. So when this call is made 1 or 2, the reference to this call will be for this one. Number 1 we can say add method, and the second call will be for this string method, that is for fourth, and the third call of this add 11.5 and 22.5 is for the double one, as it will be supporting your double values or maybe integer also. So it will be double, as we are having a fractional value over here. For integer we are not having any fractional value, so it will be making a call to this third one. So first call is for the first add method, second call is for the fourth add method, this one string based, and third calling is for our double, third add we can say function. And they are having their different bodies, although three of them are performing an addition operation, but the number of operands are different in three of them. The first one is having only two operands A and B, the second one is having A, B and C, three operands, and the third one is having only two but with double value, that is the fractional values, and it will be adding the concatenating the two strings S1 and S2. So here we are doing a string concatenation. So this is the way how we can use a single function in a multiple ways. This is a direct example of code reusability, we can say, and it is very effective in our Java programming. And this is an example of our static we can say polymorphism. Now the next is the concept of inheritance. Now what is inheritance? Inheritance in Java is a mechanism in which one object will acquire all the properties and the behavior of the parent objects, and it is an important feature of an object-oriented programming languages. Now how it can be achieved in Java? For achieving this, we have a syntax. First we are having a super is your parent class, and another is your, this is subject is your child class. So that child class needs to extend the parent class, then it is capable of accessing all the variables and methods of its parent class. Here this is subject is our child class, super is our parent class. So first of all we will understand what is inheritance. In short, inheritance, like in our daily life we used to call that your hair will look like your father, your face will be resembling your grandmother. So these are some of the features which we have taken genetically from our ancestors. The same concept we are implementing, we are taking from the real world in the programming, that some certain important feature which we want to use again and again in our newly created class, which is known as a child class. So we can do that by using the concept of inheritance. Inheritance means accessing those features, that required features, in our own child class. So super class is your that ancestor class, that is a parent class, from where that features are extracted into a subclass, and the sub is your child class, or you can say subclass. Super is your parent class and subclass is the class which is derived from your parent class, and that will be having the features of this parent class. Now what are these features in programming language? As I say earlier, that in daily life, in our real world, we are saying that our hair, our skin tone, our eyes, that will be look like our grandmother, parents or other ancestors. But in programming, how we can take that features? So that features are the reusability of those variables or the objects or the methods of the parent class in the child class. So these are certain features which we can reuse in our child class in a different way. So that is the concept of our inheritance in Java, and how it can be achieved by using the this concept of extends keyword. Okay, this extend keyword is used to extract those features from our parent class. Now next is the types of inheritance in Java. Java only support three types of inheritance. First one is the single inheritance, second one is the multi-level inheritance, and the third one is hierarchical inheritance. Now we have one more inheritance which is supported by C++, which is also an object-oriented programming language, which is multiple inheritance. But in Java since we are not having any concept of pointers, as the memory allocation and deallocation is done automatically by the default constructor, which we will be using with your new operator. So here that multiple inheritance is not supported. Means if we are having any class A that having two child class B, C, that can't be have a common child class D. So this is not possible in Java. That is a multiple inheritance. But the other three possibilities are there. The first one is single inheritance, where we are having only one parent class and one child class, extending that particular parent class. The second one, multi-level, where A is the parent class of B and B is the parent class of C. So we can say that C can also have access to its ancestor class A, a grandparent class, we can say in short. And the third one is hierarchical, where we have two siblings over here, two childs of a same parent class. But these two classes are not interlinked to another, but B can also have access to the features of A, and the C will be having access, access to the features of class A. Now this is the how we can understand the concept of through a program. Let us see the program, how this types of interface can be implemented in Java programming. The first one example is for single inheritance. In single inheritance, let us consider example. Here we are taking a class animal, which is a parent class, we can say. It's a parent class, and this parent class is having only a single method in it, which is named as eat. Eat body is containing a printing statement eating, and there is a child class named as dog. Child class we can say, or a subclass. So dog is extending the animal class. Animal is a parent class of dog and dog is a child class of animal. And we are using extend keywords to extract the features of animal class. Now how it is possible? Now what we will do in this particular program, we are creating an object of this child class, and that child is capable of accessing, that object of dog class is capable of accessing your animal class content, which is not possible without inheritance. If you're not using extend keyword, we are directly writing class dog and class animal. The object of class dog is not capable of accessing animal, and hence we will get an error in the programming. But if we are using extend keywords, we are making it as a child class of the parent class, then that particular class is capable of accessing through its object the methods of its parent class. Now let us see how. This is the child class, this is the parent class, animal is containing the eat method in it, and the dog is having its own method named as bark, which will be printing the statement barking. Now we have another third class, which is a main method class. In a main method class, we are creating an object of class dog, where animal is a parent class and having a child named as dog. And we have created an object for this dog named as D over here. So class name, object name equals to new class name. So this D is the object of class dog. Now here D is invoking the bark method, and the bark method belongs to its own class. So that's the normal feature in Java. Object-oriented feature, that a class object is capable of invoking all the methods and the variable of that particular class. But here we have an eat method also. Eat will belongs to this animal class, and here the eat method, which is the parent class of this. So the object D is capable of accessing the bark method of this dog class as well as the eat method of this animal class. Single object is capable of doing the two things. It will be capable of accessing its own method, we can say, and the method of its parent class. And what we will be getting as an output, we will getting, first the call will be made for a bark. So first the output will be barking, and then the another output will be eating. So this is the concept of single inheritance, where we are having only a single parent class and only a one child class of that thing. of that parent class. So this is the output, barking and eating. Now next is multi-level inheritance. In multi-level inheritance, we are having one parent class, and like this, A is one parent class, then B is its subclass or child class, then another child class exists which is a C class. So C is capable of accessing B as well as A, as the B will be the parent class of this, but the child class of class A. Now how it will be possible in a programming example, let's see. Again we are taking the same class animal, having the eat method that we have previously taken, and the dog class will be extending that animal class. So we will be extending this program further. We're adding one more class, that is a baby dog class. So this is our animal class, then the dog class, and then the baby dog class. Like this. So animal may be your cat, maybe your dog, and the dog will be having its child baby dog. Here the dog will be extending animal and the baby dog will be extending the dog class. It is extending this and the B is extending A. That will be containing a method name as weep, and the weep will be printing weeping statement in this. Now let us take the fourth class, which is a main method class containing the main method in it, and here we are creating only a one object that is only for class baby dog. So for this class C baby dog, we have created an object named as D. Now this D will be capable of accessing the methods of B as well as the methods of the class A. How? We have D dot weep. It will be accessing its own method also, that is D dot weep. Then it will be accessing here D dot bark, and for animal it will be accessing D dot eat. So with the same object of this particular child subchild class, we will be capable of accessing the two classes B and A with the single object, like this: D dot weep, D dot bark, and D dot eat. So what we will be getting in the output? The output will contains this. First is weeping, as we are making a call to this weep, and weep will belongs to its own class, the object for which class we have created. So what will be printed? Weeping. Then the second call will be for bark. Bark is its parent class, and then third is eat. It is its grandparent class. So we get barking and eating then. So this kind of inheritance is known as multi-level inheritance, where we have one parent class having one child, and then child class is having further child class. So that child class will be able to access its parent class or ancestor class also with the same object. Now next move to the last example of inheritance, that is hierarchical inheritance. Now in hierarchical inheritance, as we see earlier, we have a single parent class having two child classes, two or more than two. So minimum requirement is 2, or it may be so and so on to some we can say G classes. Okay, 2 is the minimum requirement for hierarchical inheritance. 1 or 2 classes and more than that also can have in this hierarchical inheritance. So let's take an example how this sort of structure, this kind of accessibility will be achieved in programming language. Here we have again class animal. We are further extending that program which we have taken in single inheritance. Again containing the eat method we have already discussed. Dog is its one, we can say, child class. This is your animal class. Animal having dog as its one child, child 1, and the cat as its child. So animal can be a cat, a dog, rat, lion. we have any number of we can say animals. So the animal class is having any number of childs, but minimum 2 child is required for hierarchical inheritance. So we've already discussed this dog class that extends animal having the bark method in it. Then the third class we are having cat. So here the cat and dog is not having any accessibility to each other as they are siblings, but the cat have accessibility to animal class and the dog will be having accessibility to again to animal class, having a common parent class. Here the cat class will be having a method mew where we are printing mewing. Now these are the three classes, class number 1, 2 and 3. Parent, this is child 1 and this is child 2 having their own methods. Now this is your main method class, 4th class, and this main method is containing the creation of object for cat class and dog class. So here we are having this cat c equals to new cat. Here we are accessing this mew class and the eat function, the mew function and the eat function. Mew will belongs to its own class and the eat will belong to its parent class, this A class. So here in dog we are having function named as bark. Here we are having a function named as eat, and here we are having function named as mew. And when we are creating object of this only C class, it is capable of accessing its own function and its this parent class function. But this particular class object is not capable of accessing the dog bark function. Here it has been written as an error. If it is this object is going to access the bark, that is its siblings function, we can say we will get a error. So how we can access that? By creating it. So here we can create one more object like this. Dog class is having its own object dog, then d equals to a new dog. Then it will be capable of accessing its own method named as bark and its parent class method eat. So for doing so, we have to write one another line of code in this particular program, and this line is shown to know the to understand the concept that by this by using the sibling object we are not able to access our class. So brother and sister can't access each other, but they can access their parent class. So this is how the inheritance can be achieved in Java in a 3 different ways using your extend keyword. Now next is the concept of method overriding, which is also part of dynamic polymorphism. Example of dynamic polymorphism. As we already discussed, polymorphism means the ability to attain or to achieve different forms by an object, or we can say the features, different multiple features by a single thing. So method overriding is your dynamic polymorphism. Now what will happen in overriding? In an overriding concept, it is also known as runtime polymorphism, as I have discussed dynamic polymorphism. In method overriding, what will happen? We have a parent class and we have a child class. Both will be having a same named method. Suppose I am having add name method in this, again add name method in this, in the parent and in the child class. This is the parent A class, this is your child B class. Both will be having same method. So which one will be called when a object will be invoking? This child class method will be called. Why? Because we are creating an object of this class only, and through this object we are accessing the same class and its parent class also. So when the object will be invoked on this particular add function, it will always calls to its own class, means to the child class add method, and the parent class add method never been called. So such concept is now known as method overriding, and the add method of the parent class is said to be overridden by the add method of the child class. Let us see this concept with the help of an programming example. So here we are having a class named as human, having one method named as eat. It is having its body and printing human is eating. Then we have a child class of this human which is named as boy, which is extending our human class. Now how it is overriding? Again, it will be also having the same name of method. We are having over here eat and eat. Both will be having the same access specifier, same data type and same parameter concept. But the body of this eat is totally different from the body of eat in your human class. It will be printing boy is eating and this will be printing human is eating. So at the time when the object is created, as we know in inheritance, we are creating the object only for the child class, not for the parent class, because inheritance we are capable of accessing through a single object, the child class and the parent class. So here the boy having this object as an object name, and this is our child class object. Okay, with the help of this child class object, when the eat method is invoked, so call will go to its own eat method, this one, and it will not goes to this one. Why? Because both the methods are same, and this eat method is said to be overridden method. And who is going to override this? This eat method. This is your overriding method. Okay. So this method is totally never being called whenever a call will be generated over here. It will be always make a call to its own class where the boy eating will be printed and the human is eating is never going to print. Let us see the output of this program. Boy is eating, and hence this method eat is said to be overridden by the eat method of our child class. So this is the possibility which can be which can occur in inheritance, which is known as method overriding. Now how we can prevent this method overriding? There are ways to prevent this method overriding by using the concept of super keyword or final keyword. So let us see how we can prevent method overriding in Java. That is by using our super keyword. So what is super keyword? The super keyword is used for calling the parent class method or constructor. As we see that in the previous example, the eat method is never being called for a parent class whenever the object is going to invoke that, as it will be overridden by the child class eat method. So in order to prevent that, we can use this super keyword. Statement says that super keyword is used for calling the parent class method. Okay. So how it can be possible? Let us see with the help of example. Before that, we know I will discuss that what is how we can write a super keyword. Just we have to write this. We can say super keyword, which is a predefined keyword in Java, in front of that method which we are going to prevent from overriding. So let us take this programming example. Class ABC and this public void main is your main, we can say this is your method, any user defined method in this class ABC, which is named as my method, having a statement overridden method. And then we have a class demo which will be extending this ABC method. So ABC is the parent class of this demo class, again having the same method name as my method and having its own body as overriding method. So here we will be putting one statement super dot my method. So whenever this statement is put, it will always make sure that the method of super class will be run at this moment, and this method, my method of the child class, will never going to override, because that will be never going to execute if the overriding will exist. So what we have done here, we have written super and then the method name is common in both the classes. So this is the way how we can prevent this. Now let us see what will happen in the output, which output will come. Either your overridden method will be printed or overriding method will be printed. Let us see. But before that, here we will see the main class. In main class, we will creating the object for your child class demo, and again making a call to my method name, which is common to both the classes, and which will be making your method overriding. So let us see the output. So what will we get in the output? Class ABC, my method. So this method which will be getting in the first print statement belongs to our parent class. And then my method belongs to class test. Test we can say, here we have written overriding method. So it will be like this, overriding method. Here this super will be generating the first output. It will be generating overridden method, that is my method, and this will be generating overriding method output in this particular program. So by using the super keyword, we will make sure that the will make sure that only the parent class common method can also be executed along with our child class similar named method. So what will we get in the output? In output we will get, first the output will be saying that overridden method, okay, and the second will be saying that overriding method. The both statements will be printed like this. Clear? But in the previous example, if we see that in this one, only the output for this second method will be achieved. The first one is never going to execute because of method overriding. But by introducing this super keyword and that method name of super class, which we don't want to get overridden by the child class, we will able to get both the outputs, both the method their separate executions, even though they are having a similarities with each other. So this is the concept of method overriding in Java. So now next is the concept of abstract classes, which will become under the topic data abstraction. Now what is data abstraction? So here we will be discussing this abstraction in further coming lectures. Thank you so much. Jai Hind to all.